Make sure. Well, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I see lots of people that are like late hours, after hours on a Friday evening to come and talk to us, and even much, much, much later than that. So we really, really appreciate your dedication to Cobalt. We love doing these webinars. It really forces us to come together and create new slides and catch up on all the latest. Of course, engineering is constantly, daily, hourly working on new features and new exciting things to share. And so this is the time we rush a week before, days before, to put everything together in slides for you. And of course, we love having the new updated slide deck to share with you, and so you can share with your customers. So welcome. Thank you for being here. We're looking forward to seeing most of you, it seems like, that are attending, many of you at IBC next week. So that's very exciting. We are going to get started here with the agenda. First, I'm going to introduce also our product experts. So we have Dr. Ciro Noronha, who is our CTO. Is going to be talking about some of the products. We have our Vice President of software engineering, firmware engineering, Monte. Monte, can you say your last name?
Yeah, no, I'm Monte Veracoyas, Vice President of Software here at Cobalt.
Veracoyas. I did not want to mess that up. And we have Chris Garcia, who's the Director of Pre-Sales Engineering. He's been helping many of us, most of you, throughout the world in the last couple of years. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here. Of course, our product line has been nothing but growing. When we no longer sell our products because we pretty much implemented all those features into a new platform. So we haven't just discontinued or dropped any products. All our products are good sellers. We've been moving a lot of all our products throughout the years. We've been famous and well known for the open gear form factor, but recently, in the last couple of years, we've been adding quite a few products in different form factors, as you notice. These are some of the product categories. I like to show the slide just so you see what the different categories of products that we have. So now we categorize our products by function, all the way from audio processing to compression and routing and multiviewers and everything else. To the way we categorize our products now is through the product family name to make it easier. We used to have lots of 9,000s numbers to identify each of our products, and that proved to be quite confusing for folks outside of Cobalt. So we came up with the product family names. So we also have different form factors. You can see here the open gear frame with the 20 slots. We just launched 2 brand new frames, one more powerful than Ross's frame, and another one that's equivalent to the current HPF 9000. Ciro is going to get into details into the new frames. We're excited about those. As you know, Cobalt Digital and Ross are the only companies who actually can manufacture open gear frames as the co-founding companies for open gear. So it's exciting that Cobalt is investing on new frames and more powerful frames for your applications and for the more and more powerful cards that we come up with. We also have the standalone box that's here on the left, and that's our BBG 1300. For those of you who don't know, usually you fit one open gear card there, depending on the rear I/O. If it's a split rear, you can fit 2 cards, depending on the card. So that's a great way to have mobile standalone unit version of pretty much most of our open gear cards. The agenda today will be to focus on new products and new enhancements to current products. So we're going to start with the UltraBlue IP multiviewer. We talked a little bit, we did a little bit of a pre-launch several months ago. We are going to launch the UltraBlue IP multiviewer, which is going to be a growing product that we're going to be adding on over time. But initially, we're going to have the compressed and the baseband over 2110 versions. So Ciro is going to go over that. It's a software based product, but we're also going to offer hardware with it. So Ciro is going to get into the details. And all our multi-viewers are going under this umbrella. The name is going to be UltraBlue. So UltraBlue is the multi-viewer product line for Cobalt. Indigo, launched a couple years ago, is our 2110 product line. We've had for quite some time, and it's been very successful, our 2110 data card for the 9904 and 9905 processing cards. Recently, we launched the quad channel bidirectional Indigo Gateway, which we're going to cover here. And we also recently launched the Indigo 2110 data card for the Pacific encoder. So now we're going to have 2110 inputs. So that's something we're also going to get into details. We're going to cover the SAPPHIRE converter. And the SAPPHIRE, we have open gear cards as well as the small units for mounting behind the monitors. We have the ARIA product line, which is the audio product line. We have the Dante interface open gear cards, and we're also going to be showing you first sneak peek at the new audio monitor. So we're excited about that. All these products are going to be at IBC, including the new audio monitor. Enhancements to the Pacific compression line, of course, that's Ciro's baby. So there's always new great things about the product line. We're going to cover in detail the wave routers and the upcoming router and control panels that are going to be added to the existing ones that we launched recently. Open gear frame updates for other products. The Royal product line is the DA product line. We're going to talk a little bit about a brand new inexpensive DA that we added a few months ago to the product line. And we're going to go over IBC demo. So hopefully, after this very long introduction and agenda, we got many other participants on board. And go ahead, guys, get started. And thanks again. Please feel free to interrupt and let us know if you have any questions throughout. We do love interactive sessions, so don't let us just do the talk. Let us know if you have any questions. I'll be monitoring the chat box. Thank you, and see you next week.
All right, thank you, Susanna. I'm going to start with the UltraBlue IP multi-viewer. I talk fast usually, but if you have questions, again, as Susanna said, interrupt and ask. So we talked about this last year. It was a kind of a soft launch, but now we're going to give you more detail. This is a software-based multi-viewer that can be scaled to many inputs and many heads. On launch, it will support compressed video over IP, including UDP, RTP, FAC. It will have a full RIST implementation. It's the exact same RIST implementation that you find in other Cobalt products. Supports SRT as well, if you need that. And then in the future, we will add RTMP, RTSP, HLS, and everything. It's also going to come up with, at launch, with SMPTE 2110 with NMOS support. So you can drop it in a 2110 network. And it's managed through a web interface. So the multi-viewer is sitting over there. You can be in a laptop over here using web interface to manage it. It's got all the nice, cool features that you find in other Cobalt multi-viewer, including arbitrary rotation of screens and pips. So you can have a portrait screen if you want. You can have multiple screens. One is landscape, or the portrait, you can do it anywhere. You can arbitrarily size and position the pips. When I say arbitrary rotation, the pip, if you want something with like 45-degree rotation, you can do that. Arbitrary text obviously has closed captioning support, like you expect from a multi-viewer. So closed captioning, if you enable, will be overlaid. Arbitrary graphic overlays, which is something we love to do. You see now our demos at trade shows, we have always some nice overlays. Extensive user management, so you can create user groups, you can assign rights to groups. And the usual thing, you have clock, both analog and digital. You can have configurable alarms, tally. Audio, we're going to have audio bars and audio output routing, so you can listen to any audio on any screen. Of course, a very sophisticated and feature-rich multi-viewer like that, you need to have presets. So operator logs in and say, okay, I want my preset, and then it loads that. So at launch, we're gonna have, this is a software package to load your own hardware. So you buy the hardware and you put the software in, or a turnkey hardware solution. If you say, I don't want to deal with buying a computer, you do it for me, or ship me a box, you can do that too. Product will be licensed per input stream. So you can put as many pips as you want. The license controls the number of active inputs. You can even define inputs. If they're not active, they don't count. If you're rolling your own, here are your hardware requirements. NVIDIA GPU with Vulkan 1.3 support, A4000 series or better, and we'll support 4 heads on that. The usual question, hey, how many pips you can do on this? The rule of the thumb is 1 hyperthread per pip, and normally CPUs have 2 hyperthreads, cores have 2 hyperthreads. So if you have a 24 hyperthreaded core CPU, you can have 48 pips. That's a very conservative estimate. Normally can do more, but this is what we're signing up for. If you want to do SMPTE 2110, you are going to need a Mellanox Connect X6 series with a RiverMax license. So if you're building your own, you're going to have to get your own RiverMax license. If you're buying from us, we're going to put it in for you. So if
okay, good. Okay, I was just going to ask you something, but it's over here.
Yeah. If you are buying it from us, this is what you're going to get, a turnkey solution. You're going to get the Dell server with up to 4 DisplayPort outputs. And of course, as you know, you can use DP to HDMI cables to drive HDMI monitors. The unit we're selling has 24 hyper-threaded cores, so we're qualifying it for 48 inputs. If you want 2110, that's an option. The box can have up to 2 Mellanox Connect X6 with a redundant 100 gig port. So when I say the Connect X has 200 gig ports, but it's primary in backup. And I see a question in the chat, compressed outputs planned. Absolutely. Pretty soon we're going to have WebRTC output. And not just WebRTC, but you can come out on RIST and SRT and 2110. Yes, 2110 outputs. Not available yet, but it's coming pretty soon. Any other questions on his? All right. So UltraBlue roadmap, first general release next month. Then we're going to roll in some monitoring features, which we may need an additional license that hasn't been decided yet. We have a full set of monitoring features planned. This is just a sampling. Frozen black video, loss of video, unexpected format. And unexpected format, it means you say, I am expecting a 1080i here and a 720p shows up. I say, okay, that's not expected. So it's going to alarm. So, the usual thing for audio silence, loss of audio, unexpected format. And ancillary data, CC, etc. Question, can you do multicast inputs? Absolutely, from day one, you can do multicast inputs. I don't know what, I think you mean VLAN, right? Yeah, we are not supporting VLAN right now. So meaning you create a VLAN in the port and it will join different VLANs. This is not supported, but it's good input. We can look at that. It's not very difficult to add VLAN support. So after that, we're going to have SDI inputs, so we can mix and match compressed and SDI. In our target, it will be a different Dell server, 5 8-port cards, so you can have 36 SDI inputs and 4 SDI outputs. The inputs will support SDI to 12G, and outputs will support SDI to 3G. And that's all I have to say about the multi-viewer. Any additional questions? Okay. I'm going to keep talking because this section is mine too. So I see additional questions. there's a GPU. The decoding is split between the GPU and the CPU. There's some formats the GPU doesn't decode, and some formats, so they have to go to the CPU. So that's transparent to you. We're going to offload decoding to the GPU if the GPU can do it. But for some things like 4210-bit, you have to do it in the CPU. The other question, SCSI35 triggers tally. That's not there, but it's good feedback. Any other questions? And thank you for interacting. We love that. Susanna said,
The SCSI35 triggers tally monitoring. Somebody's asking about that.
Yeah, I just answered that. This is good feedback. We don't have that. We're going to have when we add the monitoring, we're going to add SCSI35 or 104 if it's baseband monitoring, but connecting that to tally was not something we had planned, but that's good feedback. We're going to look into that. Anything else? Don't be shy. I'm usually nice. All right. Let's go to 2110. So this is a new
one more question there about Dolby AC3 5.1 and Dolby decoding.
Okay, yes. Dolby AC3 5.1, yes to that. We have audio bars, yes to that for any standard. Dolby is not going to be there first release. It will come later. And yes, audio bars for anything that's got audio, it will be there day one. You can arbitrarily size position the audio bars. You can decide how many you have, where they go, how thick they are. It's just like the multiviewers we have. Okay. If you think of other questions about the multiviewer, just ask them.
Yeah, just ask throughout, guys, and we'll take little breaks and go back. No problem.
All right. This is a new product. This is the INDIGO gateway. Because we had the INDIGO in our 9904, 9905. So it's a combination. In that case, you have native 2110 processing. This is a simpler, lower cost gateway. It's a 4-channel gateway, means 4 in and 4 out simultaneously. So capacity of that, you have 3 flows that can go up to 3G, and 1 flow can go up to 4K. So those are all simultaneous. So it's 4 flows. In-band and out-of-band, NMOS, ISO4, ISO5 support like everything else. So I keep repeating that, but anything we do in 2110 has NMOS, ISO4, ISO5 support. So that's the gateway. Available now, ready to go. Open gear card. It uses four slots. It's SDI to 2110 and 2110 to SDI. But we are actually designing an I/O panel to bring it to 2 slots. So you can cram more of these into the chassis. The other thing, the other 2110 option we are offering, and that's going to be at IBC in the show, is a 2110 option for the Pacific 9992 encoder. At this time, we're doing just for the encoder. The decoder will follow later. So it's a data card, factory installed for the encoder, and you can take in either 4 flows of 3G or 1 flow of 12G, exactly mirroring the features of the encoder. Once you have this card, each individual channel can be configured for 2110 or SDI. So you can see there we still have 4 SDI inputs, and you can in the GUI say, I want this particular channel, take it from 2110 or take it to SDI. And there's a few full cross point inside. Otherwise, you have the same things for SDI inputs to ASI outputs and IP streaming outputs. And this one is compatible with the BBG 1300 FR because you see it's 2 slots. So that's the Indigo 2110 DC02. It's available now. Okay, I have this separate slide because since we are smart, we have one code base for all the 2110. So everything we do for the 2110 is available for everything I talked about. The existing 2110 products, the new 2110 products, and the SAPPHIRE converters I will talk about. So we are now supporting 2022-7, which is the parallel links. One operation, and we exceed that because the requirement there for Class C is 150 milliseconds of differential delay. We support up to 100 milliseconds. The other thing we support is fully asynchronous input where they are not PTP locked, and that's what you need. That's what you need for IPMX compliance. There is a question what the classes are. There's A, B, and C, and I forgot what A and B, but it's increasing. It's lower numbers for this. Class C is 150, Class B is less, and Class A is even less. So this is the highest differential delay. Again, this is if you have two parallel links, this is the differential delay between the links. And I'm sorry, I don't have it to memorize what the A and B are, but it's less than 150.
There's a quick question, Cyril, about what are the 2022?
Yeah, I just answered that.
Okay, but
yeah, so Class C is 150 milliseconds. There's A and B, which are less than 150 milliseconds. And I just don't remember what the numbers are.
okay.
Optional JPEG access support. So we're going to have JPEG. We have JPEG access, and that's all in all SMPTE 2110 capable products. Okay. Next slide. Oh, it's show me SAPPHIRE converter updates. You're going to be sick of hearing. All right. Let's start with the mini converter. So these guys for behind the monitor mounting. You have a 2110 plant. You want to see the video, you have to put the monitor. You put one of these boxes behind the monitor. You plug 2110 in, and it gives HDMI in some cases SDI on the other side. So we have a single channel unit that will give you simultaneous HDMI and SDI. And we have a dual channel unit that just gives you two HDMIs. So you can get one or the other. It supports both JPEG access and uncompressed video, baseband video. It's a very quiet, we'll talk a bit more about that. And all the same, 10 gig, 25 gig Ethernet, seamless switching support. And well, let me talk about the quiet. The quiet is because we have two versions of that, active and passive cooling. Active cooling has got a fan, so it's a lot smaller. What you see in the picture is the passive cooling. So no moving parts. It makes absolutely no noise. You are in a quiet environment. It's bigger because you got to get the heat out, so it's bigger, but it makes no noise. If you're spaced at premium, you have one that's a lot smaller. The guts of it is the same. You have one that's a lot smaller, but it's got a fan. It's a very quiet fan, but it's got a fan. Features, the same business I talked about, Class C operation, asynchronous 2110 input. They have an additional gigabit port for management. You see the port here in the picture. They have a feature called make before break, which is you're watching something and you command it, go to this other multicast, usually to NMOS, but also you can do it in the GUI. It's going to join the other multicast before it leaves this multicast. I'm going to very clean and fast switch. In the audio, we do ramp down on the outgoing audio, ramp up on the incoming audio. So it's very nice and it switches very fast. The power is using an external adapter. It's not the adapter is plugged on the other side. It's a little power brick. And both of them support 4K. All right.
And also, Sarah, you may want to mention these have the proper VESA mounts. So if you're going to put it in an environment where it's it needs to adapt to that environment where you're doing an install where you need to mount it on a particular location behind a monitor. This one, the passive and the active, both have the VESA mount options.
Thank you, Chris. You should have had a slide on that. We have different types of mounts. There's VESA mounts. There's a desk mount. They look pretty good. Come see us at IBC. You're going to see that. Sorry, I don't have a slide. Now, this is a new one that's coming up. It's a quad channel box. It does the same thing, 2110 to SDI and HDMI, but it does 4 channels. 4 channels up to 3G or single 4K channel, dual 25 gig SFP cages. It's the same 2110 features, the class better than Class C, all of that stuff. Has additional gigabit Ethernet for management. This one is only active cooling because for 4 channels, it generates a lot of heat. We actually toyed with the idea of making a passive cooling box from this, but it became too big. It's a big brick of metal. So it's the same features, just exactly same features as the other boxes, but in 4 channels. There's some upcoming features for that, which is reference input and output. Additional SFP cages for SDI over fiber support. And what you see here is got an optional audio input output board for AES and analog audio inputs. This is not available yet, but it'll be coming. So the first version only has SDI and HDMI outputs, but shortly after, you're going to have a version, which is a factory option, that has an additional board that will split the audio, give you the audio both analog and AES. Same answer for this one on the power is an adapter. And these are not new, but it bears repeating. We have other SAPPHIRE converters on open gear form factor. Those are HDMI to SDI and SDI to HDMI. The first one is the bidirectional. Of course, you can't, HDMI and SDI are not bidirectional, but you have 2 channels on it that you can decide in which direction it goes. So that for each channel, the input can be SDI or HDMI, and the output will be both SDI and HDMI. And it has a scalar option, supports up to 3G. Then we have the fixed 2-channel SDI to HDMI with 4K support with a scalar option. Then you have a 2-channel HDMI to SDI conversion with 4K support and a scalar option. And then we have a 4-port HDMI to SDI with up to 3G and with a scalar option. So if you're doing high density HDMI conversion between HDMI and SDI, and you want to put this on an open gear chassis, then you have all these options. Now, before someone asks, no, we cannot do HDCP, and it's actually illegal to do that. We looked, and unfortunately, that will never be possible. It's not impossible technically, it's just not allowed legally. Any questions on this?
And Sarah, let me add, all these 4 different models, they have a way to force EDITs. So if you have specific devices that are downstream or upstream devices that are trying to force their own EDIT, you can capture that, put it here, and then force it out. The other thing is that these SAPPHIRE converters have a very complex audio block, so you can do all your shuffling, routing, similar to the other cards like the 9904, 9902. These also have that, and then what nobody else out there in the market in this sort of category product have is the frame sync. So you get the frame sync by default, which is a nice feature. And I thought I mentioned that because that adds a great amount of value to an existing workflow or future designs.
Thank you, Chris. And since you're talking, you can talk about this card. Take it away.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Okay, next. So we're going to talk about these as Cyril said earlier, or Susanna, we have a whole new naming scheme for products. You're going to see a lot of new audio products that are going to have this ARIA naming. So this is sort of the beginning of that. So we have this audio specific or audio centric card that's in this scenario, it's a Dante specific card, but it's really within the ARIA family. So two new models that we have, it's a 2-channel and a 4-channel audio Dante card. We call it Dante, but in reality, it does a lot more than that. So if you can go to the next slide. So this is our new platform. It's again based on the same OpenGear architecture. It has the density that you would expect within the OpenGear environment in the 2RU. But what is very unique about this product is that we have two flavors of, two options that you can essentially use up a lot of the resources of the performance of the onboard FPGA that we have with this card. So out of the box, it looks like a general OpenGear card that can do SDI in, SDI out. But what is very unique about this is that we're able to process up to 4 or 2 channels, if you get the 2-channel or 4 channels of SD through 12G raster. So anything that's within that window, you can certainly capture or accept those inbound signals with embedded 16 channels of audio. And then because this is the Dante-centric card, you can then take those audios, bring them out through AES or MADI and Dante. But you can also grab audios from any of the other formats such as AES, MADI, or SDI, put them back onto Dante. So it's a very nice, complex little package that gives a lot of functionality. Now, if we go to the other slide, Cyril. This is the representation of what it looks like when you're processing your different signals inside of this card. So as you can see, we have 4 fully independent channels that, when you first look at it, it looks like it's just 4 inputs and 4 outputs, and that's that. But what really adds the value here is that once you have those inputs coming into the card, you can then use this very complex audio block that we see here represented with the mixer of the router below. And then you can play around with your different inputs and outputs, right? Because you have within this particular platform, you have AES, MADI, and Dante. We call this card the Dante card because that's a pretty big deal for this level of product to perform Dante. But the flexibility comes in when you add AES and MADI into the Dante mix, because just about any workflow or project out there combines multiple audio formats into the whole production scheme. So having this flexibility to be able to say, hey, I can de-embed XYZ from channel 1 and 2 and then dump it onto MADI or Dante, or I can give you Dante and then you can dump it back into your SDIs or AES. That's a lot of flexibility and a lot of power, and this particular platform allows you to do that. And if we go to the another slide, Cyril. So it would be the same for this, just that it's a 2-channel, right? So instead of 4, you get 2, but the functionality, performance, it's all there. Now, one thing to keep in mind that if you go to the 2-channel, now you're going into the 32 by 32 block for Dante. You still get the same flexibility. You have 2 gigabit ports for the Dante traffic. And what that means is that you can have either TX or RX, or you can set those up as a primary backup. It would be up to you guys, but the way you configure it and what's available for you will depend on if it's a 2-channel or the 4-channel. Okay.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions on this? All right. As Susanna said, we're going to give you a sneak peek of our audio monitor. It's going to be there at IBC. You're going to see it, and we're going to hear it and listen to it. So it's our ARIA audio monitor. We will be shipping it late Q4. So this is how it looks like. And those preliminary features are, it will certainly have SDI, MADI, AES, analog, and SMPTE 2110 inputs. We'll have a video thumbnail in the front panel. We'll have the little knobs you see there are individual volume controls. You have also master volume control. For 2110, you have dual SFP cages. We'll support 1025 gigabit Ethernet for 2110 operation with -7 support. Or if you don't want that, we also, the same SFPs will support SDI over fiber. In case of 2110, this product will have a very unique feature, which is the SDI monitoring output. Yes, it's NMOS compliant. So our 2110 is always NMOS compliant. ISO4, ISO5, I saw it in the question. But the feature that's very unique on this is an SDI monitoring output. So you have a 2110 plant, you're gonna probably wanna see the video besides the audio, right? So the audio monitor will just do the 2110 to SDI conversion for you. You don't have to buy I mean, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't get to sell a little box to run the monitor. This thing is just gonna run the monitor for you. So that's the front of the product. Let's look at the back of the product. Looks like this. Let's go over the ports. You have your analog audio input, balanced audio, obviously. Your dual SFPs for 10 or 25 gigabit per second. Ethernet for 2110 inputs. You have control Ethernet with PoE++ support. So someone's going to ask me, is it a power block? Yes, it's an external power block. But if you don't like that, you can just do over PoE. You have actually three power supplies, redundant external power bricks and PoE. So you can just give it PoE and there you go. You don't even need to hook it up to the power. So you have your two redundant input power supplies here. You see, it's the same SFPs, but if you're not doing 2110, you can use that for SDI over fiber. You have two SDI or MADI inputs. You have an SDI MADI output, so whatever you're looking at, you can get SDI output, including 2110. And you have an AES input. You have balanced analog audio outputs for people who want to have outside speakers. As some of our customers said, okay, well, I have a monitor. I have this thing below the monitor. Monitor is eye level, so the speakers in the box are talking to my chest or my belly, right? The speakers have to be next to the monitor. You want to do that, or run external speakers. And then we have some GPI for automation. So that's the audio monitor. It's a sneak peek, but it will be shipping soon. Now, I have some updates for the compression products. We talked about the 2110 input. Pacific ULL decoder, I talked about this before. It's a new open gear card with sub 5 millisecond latency. So if you combine it with the Pacific 9992 ULL encoder, you can get subframe, and you're going to see that on display with a nice demo. I'll talk about it in the demo part. And it's lower power consumption than the existing 9992 decoder. It's 20 watts versus 35. So if you buy this one, you can feel good about the environment. You're using less power, creating less heat. Supports the same MPEG-2 AVC, HEVC, 422, 420, 8-bit, 10-bit decoding. The only minor difference from the 9992 decoder is that this one doesn't support 10-bit MPEG-2, but I don't think anybody's using that anymore. Audio features are the same. Network protocol features are the same. Two HD, so one 4K. There's a future quad decode option, but that's not this year. When we get there, it's going to require that all channels use the same compression. So be 4 MPEG-2s or 4 264s and maybe 4 HEVCs. This is a matrix that we have all the time. We have in every talk, and I hope you forgive me, but I think it's important to show it every time. It's a comparison of all of our encoders in terms of video and audio. So we have the older encoders that only do 264, and the newer encoder that does everything, but it's been shipping for a while, and the audio support. And the same matrix for the decoders, and you see that the ULL decoder is got the same features. Very, very extensive audio support, including, I need to highlight something, which is the SAMP 302 LPCM, something we had since day one, but SAMP 302 LPCM is you take the audio and you don't compress it. You just send it baseband, PCM. Because when you go ultra low latency, you can't afford to compress audio. It takes, depending on the compression standards, 20 milliseconds for AAC, 24 for MPEG-2, and 32 for Dolby milliseconds. And our video latency is already lower than that. So if you're going to go for very, very low latency, you have to send a baseband audio. And that's going to be, in terms of planning, is about 2 megabits per second per stereo pair. So it's important to know that. Another new feature is something new introduced, and you get that for free if you just upgrade the firmware. In the 9992 decoder can be configured to use an ASI backup. So you're decoding something. You can have an ASI fallback, and that something can be anything. RTMP, RTSP, even the other ASI. If it fails, it switches back to the ASI backup. It's there today. Just upgrade the firmware, you get that for free. I don't want to put a new slide, but the 9992 decoder now also supports full SNMP support. It's something it didn't have. It had partial SNMP support. As of version 080, you have full SNMP support for everything, configuration and statistics. Again, you get that for free. You just upgrade the firmware. Any questions? All right, I'll turn it over to Monty to talk about the wave routers and control panels. Take it away, Monty.
Thanks, Ciro. My name is Monty Veracoyas. I'm Vice President of Software here at Cobalt. I'm located in the city of Orange in California. And I'm going to talk about routers and control panels. Next slide. So we have Wave series routers, and the Wave 9942, this is an open gear solution for video and audio routing needs. This router supports a wide range of formats from 12G through down to SD, SDI, as well as ASI and MADI. This will ensure seamless integration into any broadcast production environment. We have two models of this open gear router. We have a 12 by 12 12G. This is a compact router. It's perfect for smaller setups. And then we have a 24 by 24 12G router, and ideal for larger, more demanding configurations. Some of the key features of this router is we have RP reference-based switching. This ensures precise and reliable switching of your video signals. Some of the compatibility we have is with the DNF control panels, as well as PESA, PNET, and LAVO SNAP panels, providing flexible and ease of use. Some of the protocols we support are SWP08 and the Sierra Video serial protocols, making it kind of adaptable to any system, as well as our open gear protocols. Next slide. We also have a new series of routers, which is the 64 by 64 router. This is to meet the demands of the modern broadcast and professional audio video environments. This is a versatile router that supports multi-format resolutions from SD to 4K. And some of the key features of this is it has MADI support, and MADI supports user selectable, as well as a flexible IP control protocols. We have a Cobalt protocol, Cobalt router protocol that supports a RESTful HTTP interface and a WebSocket interface via JSON API. Some of the other protocols are the PESA PNET, so you can have a PESA PNET control panel, control the router, as well as SWP08. We have a built-in web interface to allow full control over routes, as well as salvo routing. This router also supports the RP168 switching. For salvos, you can have as many salvos as you like for the router. We do support full-size BNCs that are reinforced and robust for your bulk connections. We have redundant power supplies for the unit, and we do have a 32 by 32 version available. And in the second quarter of 2025, we'll have a 2 RU high version of a 36 by 36 router. So that's our router. That's what we provide for our routers. You know, if you're ready to evaluate your router capabilities, I'd suggest choose the Wave Series router. Experience a difference from Cobalt Digital. Next slide. So how are you? We had a question?
No?
Okay. So how do we control our routers? Well, of course, we're introducing the Wave Series control panels. This is seamless control integration for any setup. It was originally created for Wave Series routers, and it's designed with cutting-edge technology with user-friendly features to ensure efficiency and reliability. We have 4 different models of these control panels. We have an 84 backlit LCD button version. This is using industry standard NKK switches, which allows text to be displayed in the buttons. And they have full color backlight LEDs. And we also support a API with the system to allow you to integrate it to almost any system. We also have the CP78, which is a membrane control panel. This has an LCD display, so you can have information displayed on the LCD display, but it is for a lower cost solution, and it has capability of controlling any of our routers. If you need a 1U high selection or control panel, we do have 2 models of that. We have the CP42L, which is an LCD button version with 42 buttons, as well as a membrane button of 44 buttons with an LCD display. The back of the unit, which is kind of hard to see in this picture, shows a PoE power. So you can just power these panels just with a single PoE, or you can have external, dual external power supplies that gives you a triple redundant power if you hook up everything. Next slide. So these panels are very flexible. They do out-of-the-box control our routers. And one thing unique about these control panels, we do destination source take, as well as destination-oriented control. So this is the first control panel that allows you to do both just right out of the box. And how do we do this kind of stuff? We start out with events. Go ahead and select events. So we have button events that trigger can be triggered, as well as GPI, general purpose input events, and those events can trigger actions such as GPOs. Next. GPOs, LCD control, or button color, and button text. Next. There's also events that can be triggered by a router. through a network. We have events that can be triggered through a WebSocket. So if you have a piece of equipment out there that talks JSON via WebSocket, you can have that trigger events as well as a response to an HTTP endpoint. And likewise, the actions can be triggering a router or a WebSocket or HTTP endpoints. And how do we do this? And this is done by a Lua script engine that allows you to configure the control panel to basically do anything you like. All of our router controls are Lua scripts. They can be edited by the user. They can customize it to control other pieces of equipment. You can do tallies through them. So it's a very flexible system. So I'll be at IBC 2024 in Amsterdam next week. So feel free to stop by the booth. I think our booth number is 10.B41. And you could chat about details about the Wave routers or control panels. With that, I think I pass it back to Ciro.
Yes, thank you, Monty. So Monty is going to be there if you have questions or you want to learn more, just talk to him. So next is the OpenGear frame updates. We have 2 new OpenGear compatible frames. It will be on display in Amsterdam, the HPF 9500, which is basically a 9000 with a gigabit Ethernet backplane and better cooling. And the HPF Max, with the Max goes for the power supply. So very sophisticated cooling with variable speed fans. So it's actually lower noise. If you don't stress it, it's lower noise. If you kind of pull a lot of power, then the fans ramp up. But so it's like if you fill it with the ACE, for example, it's very low noise. 720 watts power total, best in industry, with 600 watts usable for cards. So it's basically 30 watts per OpenGear slot. To go with the new frames, we have 2 new frame controllers, the 9500 FC, which is the equivalent to exactly the same as the current HPF FC, but will physically fit in the 9500 frame because the HPF FC doesn't have all the connectors. It's a question of connectors. And then the HPF GE FC that includes a top-of-the-line gigabit Ethernet switch with connection to all the slots and fits in both the 9500 and the HPF Max. So you have this supported combinations. You can have the HPF 9500 or the Max for the frame. The 9500's can support both the HPF 9500 FC controller or the GEFC. So we really have 3 combinations. Oh, the 9500 uses the same PS 9000 power supply as the HPF 9000. Let me answer. There's a question: what would you need gig for the management port? The management port. What happens here is you have a management port in the back of the frame, and that goes to the network controller. Why gig? Because why not? Everything is gig today. You really don't need that for the speed, but it's important. Now, when you have a gigabit backplane, just like you have with the HPF GEFC, you have gigabit to all the cards, and now things start becoming interesting because you can be streaming over that control network if you want, and it's important to have higher speed. So back to the slide, you have 3 possible combinations. The very lowest cost is the 9500 with the PS 9000, same power, no gigabit, but better cooling. If you combine the 9500 with the HPF GEFC, you have gigabit to the slot, same power, so it's a mid-grade frame, and the top of the line is the HPF Max with the PS Max is a different power supply with gigabit to all the slots. All right. Other product updates. Take it away, Chris.
Okay, Cyril, thanks. Let's go to the next slide. So this is what we're showing here. It's not a complete product, but it's an option that we added to our existing 9904 platform. What this diagram that we're looking at, what it represents is a new sort of personality or profile that we enabled on the 9904. What it's essentially doing is that as you're using our 9904 perhaps to process 4K, now we added more capability or more value to this product by allowing it to not only process 12G 4K, but also having a 2K or a 3G processing service in parallel to your 4K 12G process. And what we're looking at here is essentially giving you a second LUT option and giving you a second scaler option with FrameSync and also being able to manage your audios. And this is all done by simply adding a license. But before you do the license, you also need to upgrade your card to give you that ability to upgrade your card. But if you're an existing user that has 9904 in your existing workflow, having this just adds an amount of value to your existing workflow where you can extract a little more service out of your existing investment. And this just sort of takes away being able to process this externally on a different device. Now you can do it inside of the same card as a second path within the same card. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this is not actually taking two separate inputs, but rather it's using the one input and just creating a lower res, or basically taking a different raster from your mezzanine, which would be your 4K, down to a 3G, and giving you the same processing performance. But we just wanted to mention this because there's a lot of customers that we know that have invested in the 9904, and just having this dual output option just sort of opens up more possibilities with this card. Next. And then this is, Susanna mentioned this in the beginning, this is our new, we call this new product line. Anything that has to do with distribution, we call it Royal. So this is a new addition to our product family within the distribution amplifiers. This is the Royal OG 1x8 DA. This is a very basic distribution amplifier. And in fact, Monty, who's here, he's partly responsible for this. We decided that, we have very popular distribution amplifiers like our 9910 DAs, our 9915 DAs. Those are very popular products, but sometimes they just don't quite fit into a certain price point that attracts users to come and talk to us about our products, right? So hopefully this product allows users to look at the value that we've added and that we've been delivering with the other products. And we brought that value and quality to this product, but at a different price point. And this is why we call this a low-cost distribution amplifier. And as you can see here, we have three options for your backplanes or your rear IOs. One of those options will give you the relay bypass, which is quite unique for this sort of product. Now, if you need something that can basically accept any signal from SD all the way to 12G, this will give you that capability. Plus, you also can split this in a dual 1x4 if you want to separate your different paths. But in its main default design, you get a 1x8 that supports all the way to 12G formats, and it'll give you reclocking with the option to have the relay bypass. And again, it's a very low cost solution. If you know the other distribution amplifiers that we have, this sort of continues on that legacy by giving that performance and reliability. Next.
There's a question. They're asking if it can do failover. We do have, I gotta look at that one. I believe it does a glitched failover. So
it's not clean switch,
it's not a clean switch.
Yeah. And again, and you have the relay bypass also on there. So that'll give you that, it'll switch over based on, detection of any loss or bad signals. So, or power.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, put it in the chat. So we're getting to the end of the presentation. Thank you for bearing with us. I promise there's only 2 more slides. I'm going to take you over the IBC boot demos, 10.b41, as Monty said. We're going to have a demo of the Pacific ULL decoder with the Pacific 992 encoder, where I'm going to send a video bouncy box with time code, and then put it side by side. So you see the source and the decoded, and you see that's going to be one frame behind the most. This is obviously a jammed up image because it shows the same, but you're going to see it in action there. And I did that first because this has the rest of the boot. We kind of tied every demo together this year. So the core of the boot is a wave router. You're going to have 5 just local playback sources. We're going to have a stream coming from Champaign, Illinois. This is my window here in my office. It's behind me. Actually, that way. What you see there's a camera here. We'll be selling it to the internet using wrist and source adaptation. So the encoder is going to go up and down as needed to deliver a clean signal. That is going to be one of the SDI signals and 2 signals from the Pacific ULL demo I showed before. We're going to take the source and the multi-viewer. All these 8 signals are going to come into the router. We're going to have Monty's panels to play with it, and they all go to SDI to 2110 INDIGO cards, and then you have those signals available on a 2110 network. We'll have a Pacific encoder in the 2110 network that's going to take 4 of the 8 channels, which you can select here in the router and compress them, and it all comes together in the multi-viewer, and the UltraBlue multi-viewer. That's going to be sitting there, and you see here I kind of jammed up an image, but it's going to have the 8 SMPTE 2110 source streams. 4 of the 8 are going to be compressed by the encoder available as compressed streams. And we also, something that we've had since day one on our decoders can provide a clean UDP or RTP feed of the whatever they're receiving with wrist. So that's going to go in the multi-viewer as well, the camera feed. So you'll be able to see the camera feed here and directly compress and compress all of that. So this is all going to bring it all together. And that's really the demo. We're going to have units for you to see and touch. But this is all going to be running. That's what we're going to be having. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. Take it away, Susanna.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much, Cyril, Chris, Monty. This was extremely helpful. Very good. We're going to open for questions. If there's questions regarding scheduling, time frame, any questions you might have about any other products or about the upcoming IBC. Thank you for the questions throughout the session, though. That was very helpful. No questions. I know we're past a few minutes, so we would love to thank you very much for your time again, all the different time zones. Thank you. We are looking forward to seeing most of you next week, and have a safe trip. And for the rest of you, for everyone, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.